All right, everybody, everybody's seating already, so I don't have to tell people to sit down. Well, good morning, everybody. This is the Flagler County Tourist Development Council meeting for July 12th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. We're in the Government Services Building in Bunnell. And with that, if everybody would stand up, we'll do the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Seated, and just have a moment of silence. As I always say, we ask God to bless all the residents of Flagler County, and especially our first responders, medical personnel, who help us all the time. All right, we'll get on with the meeting. Before we start, I have just a couple of items to read to get on the record. At the April 19th, 2023 TDC meeting, the following item was documented as a conflict of interest per Florida State 112.3143 4A. Item 6A, Stephen Baker of Hammock Beach Golf Resort did not participate in the vote. And item 7A, Stephen Baker of Hammock Beach Golf Resort did not participate in the vote. Those are two items from the last meeting. With that, before we even start with the minutes, I'd like everybody to introduce themselves, and we have one new member, and you may just say a couple of words about yourself. So start with Lisa.
Good morning, Lisa Robinson, the General Manager at the Hampton Inn and Suites of Palm Coast.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Stephen Baker, Director of Group Sales, Hammock Beach Golf Resort. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Dan Mundrian, General Manager, Hilton Garden Inn, Line Hotel Group.
Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Pam Walker, Walker Adventures.
And I'm the chair, Commissioner Dave Sullivan.
Nick Kluvis, Palm Coast City Council.
Eric Cooley, City of Flagler Beach.
Felicia Cook, Marine Land Dolphin Adventure.
Good. Thank you all for being here. We have a full, well, I guess John Mugerai is not here. He's excused, right? Is that true? Okay. So with that, we have the meeting. The next item on the agenda is meeting minutes. Request the board approve the minutes from the following meetings, April 19th. So if I could get a comments or motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Good.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment on that? Any additions? I see nothing else. All right, bring it back to the board. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the April 19th, 2023 meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, we'll go on. All right, we'll get started with the actual new stuff. The next item, item 3, is the financial reports. And are we going to brief those or just take them as they were provided?
I can do either one.
Okay.
I just have a few things to say about the revenue report, not so much about the budget to actual, but for the revenue collections for the collected in the month of May, we were down almost 6%. I will remind everyone, so even though they show in May, it was collections or activity, if you will, that happened the month of April. It's always a month in the rears. So do keep that in mind. So we are finding out from our colleagues around the state that overall Florida did have a soft April. I know that may not apply to all of our hoteliers and lodgers, but as a county, we were down. We did receive this week preliminary numbers for June, and we are back up 6%. So good to see that being maintained. And that's all I have.
And bring it back to the board for, we're asking for approval of the financial report, revenue report as submitted.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment concerning the revenue report? No one has come forward. So bring back to the board to approve the revenue report as for this agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the revenue report is approved. Budget to actual, we going to talk a little bit about that?
We're still good and plan on, this will be our last meeting before the fiscal year, but we plan on spending as much of the money that's left as possible.
Are we going to have any left over?
Yes, we will.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yes.
So, and as I say, that we're coming to the end, next meeting will almost be at the end of the fiscal year.
Middle of October.
Bless you.
So we'll just start it.
Yeah.
Bless you.
All right, so I guess we need an approval of the budget to actual. Need a motion on that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any public comment concerning the fact that the budget is on track? Seeing no one to come forward, all those in favor of the budget to actual signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved unanimously, and we'll go on to item 4, marketing reports. So Amy, again, back to you. Who's going to do the actual marketing
I'll
report?
have Courtney present.
Courtney?
Hi.
All right.
So in April, our out-of-state traffic saw a 21% increase, with Atlanta continuing to be the top driver. Webcams and the Bucket List blog drove the highest number of sessions in April, and there were 297 visitor guide requests and 171 newsletter signups.
And just for the sake of our new members, so the marketing report is a rather large document. So what we do is we just pull 3 or 4 highlights that we would like to share, but in full detail is provided in the packet. But we're happy to answer any questions for April.
So the marketing report was fine, even though we saw some decline in April, right?
Yes, in revenue.
So, all right, thank you, Courtney, for that. So, bring it back to the board, the April 23 marketing report, we need a motion on that to approve it.
Move to
Motion.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Open up to the public concerning the April 2023 marketing report. No one's coming forward, but back to the board for approval. All those in favor of the April 2023 marketing report as submitted and motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. The May 2023 marketing report, I guess Courtney again.
Yes. The Hang 8 dog surfing competition event listing, that's the listing on our event calendar, saw an 89% increase in sessions, and it was also the 3rd most popular blog post. So everybody likes those little puppies. And our out-of-state traffic saw a 7% decrease to the website.
Great. On that dog surfing competition, I did mention it down at the FAC meeting. We had a meeting with the people who do sports tourism in the state, and I mentioned this, and they said, wow, that's really unique. And I said it was extremely well attended, and so it was kind of interesting. So any further comments on the, on the May 2023 marketing report? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve it.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the May 2023 marketing report. Public comment? Nothing coming forward. So with that, back to the board. All those in favor of the May 2023 marketing report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. We'll go on to item 8. Is that right? Item 5. My eyes are not as good as they used to. The tourist development tax update. Shelley, there she is.
Hi, good
Hi,
morning.
Shelley.
Morning.
This is flashing, Carlos. Yeah, what does that mean?
Put it down, put it down. No.
I just want you to know I didn't break it.
Yeah, you did.
Me.
We charging you.
He's coming.
Here comes Carlos.
You can switch it.
Your reputation would mean you broke it.
Shelley, I'll just drive for you.
That's fine. It's going to be quick today. All right, well, next slide. So, and welcome Mr. Daniel, who I don't think we've met. I'm Shelley. I think I know everybody else on the board. So this is our active account as of yesterday. We have 1,426 accounts. As most of you all know, these accounts are by property, and that's how many we have. So there's not a lot I can tell you. All these guys know there's not a lot I can tell you. A lot of it's confidential, but I'm going to tell you what I can. And that's how many accounts we have pulling in the revenue that you're receiving. All right, next. So the breakdown of that 1,426 account looks like this. Most of them are single-family homes or condos and townhouses. I can read the numbers or you can read them, but they're pretty self-explanatory. I do indicate what they were at the last quarter, so you can kind of compare. And that remaining miscellaneous, I did break down so you can see what those are. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yeah?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Chairman,
go
Big
ahead.
jump in the single family.
Yes.
Is that just new ones coming in and, okay.
Yeah, Airbnbs and Verbos and all of that. Yeah, it's a big deal.
I very seldom get any comments on this.
Yep.
But I was talking to somebody who owns one of these rental units in Flagler Beach, and he says, well, I'm, paying my part and all that kind of thing, but there's a whole bunch of people who are renting out their rooms and not paying. So I don't think that's true, but it was a comment that somebody made.
Right.
Who's over
So
in
we
Flagler
do,
Beach.
as you know, we have the third-party vendor that we use, scraping the internet, finding them. I'm pretty confident we don't have 100%. I don't think anybody does. But we do find them. We send letters. If we see them on the internet, they're getting a letter if they're not already registered. And I have to say, for those that are turning people in most of the time anonymously, more than not, they're turning in their neighbor and their neighbor's already registered. But I can't say that. I can't tell them, well, they're really good. So they think they're not registered, but they are.
I kind
lot
of
of
said
that.
the same thing, but I just wanted to mention, somebody did talk to me about
Right.
that and get your feel, because my feeling is that we're doing a pretty good job on it. No
Right.
doubt there's somebody out there who's not, but.
They get real
I
creative.
have a question,
Yes.
Shelley. Does this separate company, do they ever investigate people who are advertising in, say, if they lived in New Jersey and there's a local newspaper up there and they own a home and they rent it to friends? And do
So
they
they're
don't-
not scraping newspapers, only the internet. So only if they're advertising online on those platforms. And there's thousands of platforms they're scraping. It's not just Airbnb or
And it's not
VRBO.
just here in Florida, it's,
Right, but they're only scraping for ones that are for rent in our area.
yeah, because I know of several people who are renting their homes to people, former neighbors, people from out of state that they know, blah, 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 and.
Those are tough to find. Those we rely on. If they're not advertising, they don't have to. They advertised previously, they captured the client, and then they're a return client. So the way we find those folks is using that third-party vendor to oversee their calendar and see when they're not booked and kind of investigate them that way. When they are booked, when they're not booked, are they renting? The neighbor called and said they were renting, but so we have to get creative with some of those. I will say that most people try to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And most of them are not skirting, but, people do get creative in the way that they're skirting taxes, not just tourist tax, but every tax. So they're out there, and we do try our best to combat that, but I'm pretty confident we're not getting them all. Very few that we're not getting.
And you think most people would know to call your office if they have a concern or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. If they're renting, they've gotten something from us. If they're bona fide renting on one of those platforms, we've already reached out to them. They're in blogs amongst each other. They know what they're supposed to be doing. So yes, I believe
Yeah,
that
I
if we're not
guess-
reaching them, they're reaching us directly.
Eric may have a better feeling for this than I do, but for instance, in the city of Flagler Beach, you're not supposed to do short-term rentals only in certain areas, according to your rules.
Correct, depending on zoning.
So if somebody is renting outside of that area, they probably don't want to say they're doing it, right? So that would be a problem, I guess.
Well, I had a few pieces of feedback, to your point. I get approached 3-4 times a month probably about that, and I direct them to the website. However, even though it says anonymous on the website, there's still a gap. Nobody wants to be the tattletale.
Yeah, and it is anonymous. I'll tell you, I can't reply to them because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I think there's also a knowledge gap. So when tax office first rolled out that option to report, there was a lot of publicity around it. And that's kind of tapered off. And I think it would probably be a good idea to maybe just put out a couple PSAs or something about that to get it started, because it seems like the interactions that I've had with citizens about that is increased. And so it's definitely happening. I get the same conversations that you've had. And there seems to be a knowledge gap about what do I do about this? And
Right.
I refer them to code enforcement and also to you.
And I will say as a reminder, every year in November with the tax bills, we send that orange notice out. Are you renting? And the number to call. So we get a lot of action from that too. So they are being reminded that way at least once a year, every property owner. But yes, I don't disagree. So yeah, maybe we can,
Yeah, it might be
is a
time,
refresher.
COVID's
Together
done,
on that.
people are getting back on track totally now. I guess we're totally back, just about totally back now. So it might be a good time to. All right, thank you, Shelley.
yep, you're
for the
welcome.
report. Anything further?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple more slides.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very, very quick. So my Felicia report. Here's where they all are located. I know, Amy, you have asked me for the dollars associated with where they're located. I'm still working with our software vendor to see if we can get that. Currently, we cannot. But this is where they're located. Do we have any questions about that?
Good. It's good to
Okay.
know.
And then this is just a snapshot of the trend. You can see our collections do follow the same trend, just at a higher number, which is good. So everything there is the same. Our April collections, here's the 23, here's the May of 23. Number was slightly down, and then June, slightly up. I'll talk to you about enforcements. So we do stay on them. Once they're registered with us, they have to file, they have to pay. If they're not doing either one of those things, or if we catch them, they've evaded us, we have to notify them that we know you've rented, you haven't filed, you haven't registered with us. We do what's called an assessment, and we tell them what we think they owe based on the rates and the nights rented and the potential for earnings there. And we do an assessment. And they have 20 days to respond, and if they don't, we'll do a warrant. To date, we have not had to do a warrant on anybody. Everybody has come clean, done the right thing, paid up. So, however, currently we do have one enforcement action in place with one pending warrant, which is coming up relatively quickly in the next, 7 to 10 days, I think. So hopefully they pay. If not, they'll be our first warrant. So we are doing that. And with that, I will say also we're posting notices on their door. It's very ugly. They don't like it. So they tend to pay up very quickly. All right, the anonymous reporting. So here it is on our website, the anonymous reporter. Did have 6 anonymous reportings last quarter, my apologies. We do average only 1 to 2, so it was a little higher. Next. And the April collection, so the next 3 screens will be the collection allowance. This is what we were giving away. We've talked about that before, that 2.5%, no more than $30 per account, because we're doing it per account. Some larger accounts we're getting more money. So in June, you can see June of 21 was $5,700 versus June of this year was only $1,500. So that's a savings to the tourist development collections. And it's the right thing to do. By statutes, they never should have been getting those excess fees, but the way our system was set up and the data that you all wanted to receive, that was the only way we could do it. So we've corrected that, and that's the results from it. So any questions?
Further?
All right.
Sure, you know, this is what keeps the Tourist Development Council going and the money coming in via the bed tax. So it's crucial.
All right. Well, very good.
Thank you.
I'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that takes care of item 5. Item 6 is the Fund 110 Fiscal Year 23 Special Event Marketing Grant. So we'll have to look at I guess 6A, we have one item to look at there.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So this special event grant falls under this fiscal year. The event happens in September. We do have an available balance still left in this fund of $54,864. The applicant is requesting $2,847.75 to help offset some of those marketing expenses. And for the record, and just a reminder, because we don't always see these every time, these are reimbursable expenses. So the applicant, once their event is over, they have a certain amount of time where they have to provide proof of their expenses that are allowable. And most of the expenses all surround marketing, promotion, advertising activities, because that's why it's called a special event marketing grant, is to assist with those efforts. We do reimburse if they advertise and promote outside of Flagler County to bring those people into the county. We also provide reimbursement for any support services that they need for marketing advertising. So we reimburse for printing of any brochures, flyers, banners, any graphic designs to make those marketing materials for them. So that's the majority of the expenses that the applicants use. So we do have the applicant here. If you had any questions on the event, I do know that this replaced, I'll say, the previous event that they had, the Cheer at the Pier. Obviously, there's not a pier for them to hold their annual event, so they had to do some creative relocation, and so they are holding it at Veterans
So
Park.
is someone here?
Yes.
Maybe we can just talk a little about what you're going to do, because it's a change.
Good morning. My name is Patty King. I'm the director of the Flagler Beach Historical Museum. I know many of you, so nice to meet you all. Due to the pier and the recent damage from the recent storms, we had to restructure our main fundraising event, and we creatively came up with Fall for Flagler as a play on words. We're holding it September 23rd, the first day of fall. We've moved it to Veterans Park, which will allow for greater attendance as well as a larger scale participation from our local restaurants. It will be an event held as similar as Cheer on the Pier. We are incorporating a silent auction component this year, and we're looking for just a larger attendance. And
Excuse me, I missed, where is it going to be actually physically?
Veterans Park,
Oh,
Flagler
at
Beach.
Veterans, okay, that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
So the grant will allow us to reach out through social media and other means to broaden our horizons, if you will, to other counties. Any questions?
And what day of the week is that?
That's a Saturday. It'll be 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're going to have the tent set up at the, like have on First Fridays?
We will. We'll have numerous tents. It'll be just like Cheer prior to last one, where we couldn't have tents because of the weather.
Questions? All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you all.
So we'll need a motion to approve that, right? Amy, anything else on this? Okay.
Sir.
So bring it back to the board for a motion concerning this item 6A.
Make a motion to approve.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second to approve the September 23rd, 2023, what will now be called Fall for Flagler, for, our contribution would be $2,847.75. I got that down to, I'll be watching where that 75 cents came from. But in any event, that's what the motion is for. Any further public comment? Seeing none, back to the board. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 6A for the Fall for Flagler event sponsored by the Flagler Beach Historical Museum, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that passes unanimously. Thanks for being here. Next, we go on to our fiscal '24 special event marketing grants. And with that, Amy, I'll turn it back over to you. We've got 4 of these to go through.
Thank you. This is for next year, fiscal year 2024. This is the time of the year where everyone kind of applies for all their events they know they're going to have next year. So we do ask the TDC to help score. This scoring is just used as a guide and a tool, especially in the event we had more applicants than money, but that's not the case so far. We have so far in our budget $50,000 for the special event marketing grant, and this request, if you were to fund all of them at 100%, it would equal $44,000. We'd still have $6,000 left over. I will tell you that if we ever found ourselves mid-year where an applicant came to us with an event and they met the criteria, they were vetted in scoring, and we did not have money in those funds, we would come before you to ask to take those out of reserves if we didn't already have it somewhere else, maybe that we could pull
The
from.
one thing
or
I ought to
something.
make clear, and it's my fault in the wording, what we do here is we make these recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners, and then they're finally approved there at the board, just in case there was any misunderstanding on that. So what we're doing is approving recommendations to the Board of County Commission to push on with these grants and stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, and in the application, the applicant signs, they understand it's all pending Board of County Commission approval and availability of funds. So we had 4 applicants apply for this time period, and I do see 3 of them are here. So with that, the first one is the Flagler Auditorium, and their request was at $15,000.
Okay. Amy, make sure you introduce yourself for the record.
I am Amelia Fulmer. I am the director of the Flagler Auditorium, and I have to say thank you, because the tourist development monies that you give us help us so much with it being able to get outside the community with marketing, but it also makes us accountable, because you guys, we have all those surveys that we have to do, and I don't know if I would be as diligent about making sure that there's a survey done for every single show. And you have to really stay on top of that. And I love being a partner with the tourism development and feeling part of the community. And I want to thank you. We had a great season last year. We sold out the Ballet of Ukraine and had Mia Bella students dance with them. I could tell you many more stories. We're excited about our new name. We are rebranding to the Fitzgerald Performing Arts Center at Flagler Auditorium. We will always be the Flagler Auditorium, but we hope over this next month, keep an eye on our social media. We're going to start talking about our history and using it as a way to really spotlight the people in Palm Coast, Bunnell, and Flagler Beach that have worked all these years to put Palm Coast on the map through the arts. So we hope you'll stay tuned. We sent you a rack card. We will see you at the Fitz. Thanks.
All right, so again, we're at item 7, agenda item 7A. And so the fiscal '24 special event marketing grants. So I need a motion to approve the first one, which is item 7A, the Flagler Auditorium, Governing Board of Flagler Auditorium 23-24 show season grant.
I have to
$15,000.
abstain.
So we have a motion?
You have to abstain.
I have to abstain.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said I have to abstain from this.
Oh,
vote.
I'm sorry.
I will make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have motion and we have a second by Eric. Okay. Motion by Nick, second by Eric. And any further public input on this? Seeing none, bring it back to the board. I guess any further comments? Because these are the new ones.
Just
for
had one comment for
24.
clarity. Amy, these are reimbursable, correct? Is how that works?
Correct.
The same way the other ones do? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep, sometimes, because they have to plan so far in advance, they may say, oh, we plan on spending, $5,000 on out-of-county marketing, but when they come turn it in, maybe it's $4,000 for whatever reason, they only get reimbursed for the $4,000, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so any further comments?
I just do want to mention that we do have rooms booked for this season for our performers with the Hilton and Hampton Inn. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Abstain.
Right, so we've got 2 abstentions. So we still have okay, so only the non-abstentions vote on this. So back to us for a vote, and what we're voting on is the motion to approve $15,000 to the Flagler Auditorium Governing Board, Flagler Auditorium for the 23-24 show season. All those in favor of making that recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously, 4 voting, is it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 voting.
5 voting.
5 voting, 2 abstentions. All right, that's 7A. 7B, which is Flagler Broadcasting LLC Creekside Festival 2023, October 7 through 8, 2023. Amy, if you wanted to.
Yes, the applicant is here. I'll let them speak of the event, but this is probably one of the longest standing events in Flagler County. For those of you who've been here a while, this used to be run by the Chamber of Commerce, the previous one, and to not let it drop, the radio station picked it up. And they are
So-
requesting $8,000.
Right, if we have a, here from Flagler Broadcasting, please introduce yourselves and give us a little, anything changed from year to year?
Good morning, I'm Reagan Hansen with Flagler Broadcasting.
Kirk Keller with Flagler Broadcasting. Creekside, as Amy said, it is the longest one. This is the actual 18th annual. Hopefully, some of you have already noticed the billboards that have already gone up. They went up last week. We have billboards in Volusia County, St. Johns County, and of course here in Flagler County. We use all 6 of our radio stations. We use all 6, actually, 18 social media pages from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other stuff to help promote this event. It's a great event. We love the event. We keep it bluegrass that way, and then in the afternoons, we go a little younger country in the afternoons. So the morning bluegrass brings in the older residents and the older visitors, and in the afternoon, we bring in the younger residents and the younger visitors. It is a 2-day event. It's a fantastic event. Last year, we got wiped out because 2 hurricanes back-to-back. It killed 2 of our events. And I can honestly say that Freedom Fest and Creekside are probably Flagler County's biggest events, with 16,000, 22,000 people at these events. So hopefully you guys will support us again this year. Oh, and this is a ticketed event, but every time we do a ticketed event, such as Taste of Fun Coast and Creekside, all that money goes to a charity. And this year, one of the charities that we've earmarked is Family Life Center, since they lost their grant from, what was that club? Rotary Club or something? Anyway, they lost a grant at $50,000, so we are going to take care of Family Life Center this year.
That's good. And the one question I have, and there may be other questions, is we did, when we redid how we go about issuing these grants, we look at, year after year, is there something, so you do provide bed nights out of the Creekside, and do we go through that, Amy, with this one also?
Yes, with the revised program, we allow the applicant to either provide room night verification or surveys, such as Amelia was talking about. And sometimes they can do a mix of both, but we give them that option.
They're meeting the rules that we
Yes, they have
right
to
now.
have a certain percent of surveys based on attendance.
We collect that information in the parking area where they pay when they arrive.
Right, so any other questions from the board? No abstentions this time? All right. Very good. So thank you, and we'll bring it back to the board for a motion. You guys are.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve item 7B, $8,000 for the Flagler Broadcasting LLC Creekside Festival 2023, October 7th through 8th, 2023. Is there any additional comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board for vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it passes unanimously. Good luck. Another one. So the next one is item 7C, City Lights Incorporated LLC, Motown Mo Show, December 2nd, 2023. Amy?
Yeah, I can take
Is
this.
anybody here for that?
No, I don't see the applicant
go.
here. This is a new one, so it's the first time they've come through this program. As you mentioned, it is a show that will be held at the auditorium on December 2nd. The request is for $6,000. In their budget, they are estimating about $12,500 total in marketing. And so presumably half of that, they are estimating will be out-of-county advertising. Again, when they come to provide the backup documentation post-event, they do have to show us that they did do that to get reimbursed.
And who's doing this?
This is City Lights.
Hey, can you tell me a little bit about City Lights?
They are a nonprofit organization, and they do various musical and drama performances annually, and they use the money to provide scholarships.
Okay, and this is not one of the
Scholarships
23-24 show season?
Correct, it's
auditorium
one show.
We just voted on.
Scholarships to where, Amy? I.e., where do their profits go? Scholarships, but
They just indicate, provide scholarships for college-bound youth.
the kids in Matanzas and Flagler Palm Coast?
Yes, Flagler County.
Flagler Auditorium, so I can speak for them in the fact that I've always asked them to give me the list of all the scholarship winners so that we can showcase them. So we do have follow-up on that on my end. When we rent the auditorium, as far as their nonprofit, they always give us the list. I think a lot of the students that they do scholarships for are in the performing arts, and also students that work in stagehands that work for them for Motown and Mo. Again, I can't speak for them, but they rent the auditorium and do this performance every year. It's a great community. It's a bit of like a lip sync show, but they have a great time, and it's a lot of community members, and they do it for a good cause and give the money to scholarships.
Right, now, the $6,000, they do charge for tickets for the show?
Yes, they charge for tickets for the show. I don't know, I've not overlooked their grant. I do not know what they're asking for, but I just wanted to answer the question of the scholarship.
It's $6,000 what they're asking us for.
Right, I'm not aware of what the $6,000 for. I'm certain that it's in their budget and their grant. They do a lot of costumes and they do a lot of people. They probably have 36 people in the cast, and the show lasts around 3 hours.
But we've never supported this before.
Oh,
This is the first time they've come before us.
And you guys have looked at this, I mean, obviously, and.
Yet
we
they
brought
met the
it to-
minimum criteria that's required to come before you. And then the scoring that's up on your screen is the average of all the TDC members that provided scoring, and it's a minimum of 40 to be eligible. So they are eligible.
Okay. Any further comments from the board on this? All right, and then I'll bring it back for vote. This is item 7C, $6,000 for City Lights, Inc., LLC, Motown and Mo Show, December 2nd, 2023, at the auditorium. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I don't think we had a motion.
We didn't have no
Oh, I thought we had the motion.
No, sir.
Oh, I need a motion.
I'll move. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've already listed what the motion is, so back to the board for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, that passes unanimously, and we'll go on to item 7D, which is the $15,000 for the African American Cultural Society 23-24 season. Do we have, Amy, you go ahead on this.
Yes, I can somewhat speak to this. This is their this will be their third year for their season of exhibits. What we're in now, they had requested 20,000 and 10,000 was awarded. So we still have not yet, of course, the season's not over, so we don't have all that backup documentation. But the year prior, in 2022, they were awarded 10,000 and they provided $6,208 worth of expenses. So about 3,800 went back into the pot, if you will, from 2022.
Okay, we did have the water show, remember, the Smithsonian Water Show was there. That's now, that's finished, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I'm trying to remember, looking at I did go through
Yes. So
backup, but were there a couple of examples of what they're going to be doing in
Yes, so,
23, 24?
yes, some of their events that are going to happen throughout the year is the Shirley Chisholm tribute, the Smithsonian exhibit Playbo in the Barrios and Big Leagues, Women History Museum on Main Street, Journey Stories, a book festival. So they have about 6 events that they're looking to help promote for
But
the
in
year.
the most recent time, when we have a completed year, they didn't use up all the money they were authorized for, is that right?
Well, we're still in
They
this
didn't-
year,
They
so
didn't justify, like we were talking about.
Right,
They have to
right.
come back with the receipts.
right.
So, I mean, okay, and so that makes sense. And last year was 20,000, you said?
Last year, they were awarded
And 10.
10.
10,
They've been awarded 10 for the past 2 years.
okay.
And year 1, they provided $6,200 of reimbursable eligible expenses, and year 2, we're still in, so we don't know yet.
All right, well, they have to justify it to eventually get the money. Since they were getting 10, and in the 1 year we have completed, they didn't use it all. We're now going to 15, but you guys have looked at that, right? From the perspective of justification.
One question. So normally, in my understanding, I haven't been here in a while, but as the years progress, I didn't think the amounts were designed to go up.
So
Wasn't it as they get established, the trend was to go down?
yeah, so in the point system, you're correct. So if it's a newer event, you get higher points, and if you've been around for 18 years like Creekside, you get 0 points. So you can still apply, it's just where you fall in the scoring.
I guess my only question, we want to support, but why, the 5,000 additional dollars, I mean, I'm trying to understand, is it that much different this year than previous years? I mean,
It looks like in advertising and marketing, a total budget of $38,275 for the year. That could,
That's what they
that could
intend to
include
spend, yeah.
in-county and out-of-county, right?
and I do have some thoughts about how many people do we actually bring in that need to get hotels and things like that. But they're justifying it. Obviously, you guys looked at it.
Yes, they have to provide the surveys.
So any further discussion as far as, is there anybody here? I don't think so. I don't see anybody. Back to the board then for additional comments and then a motion once we have the comments. Thoughts on this?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the item 7D, 15,000 for the African American Cultural Society 23-24 season. Again, I'll open it up for public comment. There's no one here who's going to make comment, apparently. So back for the board approval. All those in favor of the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for this item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have aye. We have unanimous approval of that item. Thank you. All right. So we've got, okay, Amy, go ahead and explain this one, item 8 on the agenda, which is the Fund 110 fiscal year 23
Yes.
discretionary event funding items. There's 2 items here.
Yes, this is for this fiscal year. This fund here is, say it's used as a sales tool, if you will, internally. This is for recruiting and bid fees for larger scale events or meetings. We are only allowed to, so the total budget that we have in that discretionary funding, we have the maximum of 33% for each, I'll call it niche. So we can only spend 33% of the total budget on lacrosse, 33% soccer, flag football, meetings, whatever the discipline is, so that it's spread out and it's fair and it's not one-sided. So soccer is one that we saw, especially after COVID, that was lacking in our funding profile and bids. So we worked with the city of Palm Coast to identify the organizations that are already coming here and bringing those folks to the hotels. And so we have Florida Elite Soccer. They're having pretty much the same type of tournament, the same purpose, just one weekend it's for boys and one it's for girls. So they may already have a hotel room block. They have provided history of past verified rooms. We do have the applicant here, Mr. Ross Fitzpatrick with the lead, if you had any questions.
Okay, my first question, come forward, please. We didn't know about this in our last meeting. In other words, this is for fiscal year 23, which is our current
Correct.
year.
Yes.
So we did not know about this coming
Next month.
to vote on then?
No.
Okay, but we've done this in the past.
Yes.
Okay, good, go ahead.
How's it going? My name is Ross Fitzpatrick, like Amy said there. So that introduction. I am new here to Palm Coast.
Can you get
Speak in the microphone.
Yeah,
sorry.
and introduce yourself again, so they'll get it.
One more time. I'm Ross Fitzpatrick. I'm new here to Palm Coast. Myself and another, his name's Ross as well. We've come in full time here to Palm Coast to try rejuvenate the soccer here in town. So far since we've been here, we've brought Florida Elite in Palm Coast to 9 teams, now 13 teams. I think I have 2 of Daniel's kids on the team, so yeah, Derek and Ethan. So we're bringing this preseason tournament in, and we're having over 350 teams. We're trying to make this the largest preseason tournament in the country for ECNL teams, which is Elite Club National League. So Florida Elite, we're lucky, different from the kind of other 2 or 3 soccer clubs here in town, that we're in these top leagues. So we're going to have teams from Orlando, Miami, Tallahassee, Tampa, as well as out-of-state town or teams from Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So I think we do already have the hotel blocks with Hilton, of course, and we have Best Western, Flagler County, Fairfield, Holiday Inn. And we have reached out to kind of some other local businesses. Publix are one of our sponsors. They provide all the water for the referees for the tournaments, for the boys and girls side. And we do a lot of kind of work with Chick-fil-A and Chipotle and told them about this increased traffic and sales coming through the town. So,
All right, good,
perfect.
thank you.
Thank you for your time. Sorry for
Look
being
on good luck on both pretty large tournaments. So, so we'll bring it back, I guess. Amy, anything additional on this? It's just where the money's coming from is just slightly different.
Correct. It's not a matter of providing the type of backup as a marketing grant, because obviously these folks don't market that way. It's already a library or a database, if you will. So this is part of the bid fee.
Sounds like
to
they bring
host
in
the
lots
event.
of people from the need
Yes.
to do it. Is it, so it's 2-day tournament? Or 3? All right. So back to the board, any comments on this or abstentions?
Chairman, I need to abstain from it. We have a block for the boys invitational.
Okay.
So do I.
Okay. So Lisa and Stephen. Lisa and Stephen will abstain from this vote. That leaves 6 of them.
He said Holiday Inn.
All right.
He said Hilton.
So if without additional comments, I'll bring it back for a motion to approve the boys' turn.
I think, was that 3 abstained? I was just looking over here.
I know Lisa and I on the boys.
Okay, gotcha.
Dan,
Just
do
the
you?
boys. We're just going to do the boys this time.
Yes, sir.
Then we'll do the, okay. This is, so I need a motion on 8A.
So
I
moved.
make a motion. Oh, go ahead. No. Nick made the motion. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further public comment? No. So bring it back to the board for recommendation on item 8A, $4,900, Florida Elite Soccer Boys Invitational, August 18th through 20th, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So that comes out as a 5-2 vote, 2 abstentions. All right, same thing for item 8B, $4,900, Florida Elite Soccer Girls Invitational, August 25, 27, 2023. Now, do we have any abstentions on that?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so Lisa abstains. That's the only one.
I'm okay. The girls don't like us. The boys like us. The girls don't like us.
I just want to clarify, I thought that Ross had said in his talk that he had rooms at Hilton Garden.
Where?
So Dan, do you have a room block? Do you know?
I do not have a room block for either dates.
Oh,
Not.
I do not
Okay.
on hand.
All
It's
right.
because they changed. It was coming through Avanti Travel, and now it comes through Traveling Teams. So Avanti would have us listed, but we're not listed. We had to take it from another group or whatever, Traveling Teams, so that's probably why they still had Dan listed, but I took the girls and boys.
thank you, Lisa.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor, no public comment. Back for approval to the board, item 8A, $4,900.
Actually, I'll make a motion for the
I thought we
girls.
did.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second, no public comment for item 8B, $4,900, Florida Elite Soccer Girls Invitational, August 25 through 27, 2023. All those who can vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's a 6-1 vote in favor. All right, thank you. On to agenda item 9. The 23-24 budget. I've been busy on that here the last few days in general. For 1109, 1110, 1111, review and recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for the budget, for the 3 parts of the budget. Amy.
All right.
And we'll do these one at a time, I guess,
Yes.
for the approvals.
Bear with me because I'm got a lot of papers and screens. Okay, so first what I wanted to do is just give you a historical snapshot of all the tourism development tax since 2005, just so you can see the trend.
Good.
Here it is in how you're used to seeing it in your revenue report. This will show you the percent increase. Last year was a record year where we did 4.4 million, which was an increase of 21%. Here's an overview of the all 3 funds. So what I've done is taken last year, which was 4.4 million, and where we are to date to show you that we are trending at 5% year-to-date increase. We are projecting for fiscal year '24 of the tourism development tax revenue, 4.2. That is a decrease of about 4%. I will tell you that, for those of you that remember last year, what I project was a flat budget, but finance, they like to be really conservative. So they adjusted it for me, but the past couple years, I'm just going to say that it's been closer to my projection. So with that, with 4.2 million projected annual revenues, those revenues are then divided into the three funds. So just to refresh everyone's memory, and for our new member, we have the Capital Projects Fund, which receives 20% of the revenue. So that breaks down to $850,000 for the year. The Operating and the Promotional Fund, which is what our office uses to pay our salaries, advertise, keep the office running, that receives 60%, so that'll receive 2.550 million. And then the last 20% goes to beach renourishment projects, and that is 850,000. So the next slides, I'm going to further discuss each one of these funds. And I just pull out pretty much the highlights. So with the 850,000, there's also going to be an estimated 4 million of cash carry forward. Now, the next three expenditures come out of that 4 million. So there's money already earmarked. It's just still sitting in there that applies to that 4 million. So the breakdown is currently 1.6 is earmarked for the Eco Discovery Center. The city of Palm Coast, as you remember, last year they received a grant for $739,158 for the expansion of their Southern Recreational Center. So that money is still sitting there because the project's not complete, and that's a reimbursable. Then you may recall in January, you earmarked for the next cycle, which the applications are due June of next year, so about 11 months. You've earmarked $745,372. So that money's sitting in there. So after you take away those expenditures that are earmarked, you're left with $973,152 before these revenues. And those are the highlights of Fund 1109. And so I'll take any questions and look for a motion.
Right, I noticed in the backup you did have some pictures about the Palm Coast project progress. Are you going to do that later?
I can.
You might just, if you have them, just show them. If people maybe they didn't read through all the way to the end. It's kind of interesting. It's nice to see actually some construction going on. I'm sorry if that screws you up, but I don't know when else to do it.
So they did provide their first quarterly report, which is required and part of the grant. It's pretty straightforward. This part of the project is a lot of behind the scenes, not very exciting stuff maybe for some people. It's a lot of the permitting, pouring concrete, clearing the land, and so they're still on target with December 5th of this year and January 5th of next year for the final completion. So as I told the applicant, as they move forward, where it's just a little bit more exciting for the group, that I'll have them come back and give more of a construction.
Had a couple of pictures.
Building, yes.
Yeah.
It is nice to hear that everything is moving forward on schedule. And from the city's perspective, we are planning on staffing that facility starting in April of this upcoming year. So just FYI.
So it's going up. It's off the ground.
Sure.
Good. Have we doled out any of that money yet?
No,
Those contract, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
It's reimbursable.
It's
So
reimbursable.
we're back to Fund 1109, capital projects comments. Before we make a motion on that part of the budget.
Hey, Amy, I just had an easy question. The Eco Discovery Center,
Yes, sir.
what's the latest on that?
That'll be later on in my,
Perfect, thank you.
yes, thank you.
And just to emphasize for everyone here, this next cycle will open, the June 24, the next big project, or projects. So remind everybody to get busy on those if they're coming up with any ideas.
Yep, it's a 50/50.
Palm Coast, I'm sure, will come in with something.
Flagler Beach is going to come up with something too this time.
Right.
Yeah, it's a 50/50 match.
And
And
reimbursable.
reimbursable, yep, upon completion of the project.
I think as a group, we always need to remember that because it kind of protects us in our our responsibility. You know, if they don't provide the receipts, then they don't receive the funds.
Or they don't complete the project.
They don't receive the funds.
Okay.
Chair, just
Go ahead.
had some comments, and I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in this, but this, just general overlying comments. So we have 20% set aside for beach renourishment, which includes improvements, maintenance, the renourishment proper, restoration, erosion control, shoreline protection, and public access. I have concerns that for all of those initiatives with the monstrous cost, 20% probably will not get very far. And it, as a forward-looking thing, something that we've started meetings about in other areas. But when you look at the amount of residents that have been approved recently throughout the county, around 15 to 20,000, somewhere in that ballpark. When you look at that last bullet, which is public access, in order to accommodate the amount of residences through apartments and actual proper homes, beach access, I worry we're going to fall short in that area with all the building that's going to happen and folks coming in.
Eric,
So I wanted to put that out there.
I believe, though, that we're restricted on how much money we can put into that. Is that
Is it
correct, Ms.
20%
Amy?
locked?
No, the 20% can be changed, there's just a process.
Okay.
So I just
Those-
want, and that's a big thing to unpack, but
Yeah,
I wanted to
and
just put
we've
that out there.
never tried to make the case that particular part of the 20% part of the budget takes care of the beaches. I mean, we're talking millions and millions of dollars
Right.
that are involved. And a lot of this, and the one thing we did approve at the Board of County Commissioners level is to make it less cumbersome for the beach piece of money to be allocated. In other words, they don't have to come back through the whole process. I think that is a bigger question. And what you're basically saying, even though you recognize that this is a very small piece of what can be done overall for that problem that you're discussing, but you'd like to see a higher percentage of the tourist development funds go to beach renourishment.
Not renourishment.
Not, just beach.
Right.
Yeah.
Beach access. And the reason why I say that is there's going to be in the future, but we're looking between now and the next couple of years, there's going to be competition for beach access because of the limited access the beach as far as our coastline has. So this will affect tourism because our tourists need access to the beach, our incoming residents and existing residents need access to the beach. So I just worry that there's going to be a conflict between tourism and residents for getting to the beach, just with our limited capacity going up and down the shoreline. That was the only call out.
Right. I understand, but that's where we are on it right now. And those percentages, Amy, if I'm not sure, would the Board of County Commissioners have to agree to any changes on those percentages?
Yes, when we did it after Hurricane Matthew, the TDC and the county commission had a workshop, maybe even two. I think the TDC had one by themselves, and then the second one, the county commission joined. It does take a super majority to change the distribution, and then the TDC would discuss then where would those other funds come from? Would we not do a capital project program? Are we cutting from the operations? And those are the things that obviously would happen during the workshop.
It's a big issue with the population and everything else. And okay, I understand the point. So with that, we still need a motion to go forward with the budget for the coming year, 23-24, for Fund 1109.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the 1109 capital projects part of the tourism budget for the 2023 year. All those, public access, any public input on this? I'm thinking public access. None at this point. So back to the board for recommendation for the first fund, 1109. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll go on to Fund 1110.
Okay, so this fund is more of the day-to-day operations of our office, and I wanted to break down and kind of show some history, because there is a misconception of how our money is spent and where it goes to. So what I've done is I've kind of put our typical expenditures into buckets, and some things are in our control and some things are out of our control. So with the projected revenue of $2.550 million, here's how that breaks down. So personnel, we're at $599,000. This includes the county is giving all county employees a 5.3 COLA, which is the cost of living adjustment that they do. There is an increase in health insurance. There's an increase in FRS, which is our Florida retirement system. So these costs, as those of you that run businesses, the personnel costs continue to rise. But that is an expense that we do not have any control over. We're a very lean office. Who you see here in this room is it. And we haven't added a person in, 2016, 17. So we continue to be very lean and conservative, and we are small but mighty. So that's the personnel breakdown. You can see it's a very large portion of the 60%. The tax collector by statute gets 3% from all funds, so that is their portion that is out of our control. Fixed costs, these are things, again, a little bit out of our control to a degree. Our rent, our electric bill, our vehicle, bank, audit fees, all those charges that we get that
And we do pay a lease fee for our offices over at
yes,
the airport.
we pay full market value of our space. And then the largest portion is the actual advertising, marketing, promotion. The actual reason we're here is to market and advertise, promote Flagler County tourism, to get people to spend their money, ideally in hotels and all of our lodging accommodations, our restaurants, our shops, our attractions. This is the reason that we exist. And I'm going to show you in the next slide some historical percentages with each of these categories. Support services, these are the categories, the accounts that we need, our tools to run the office. This is our website, office supplies, postage, printing, our software subscriptions, our training, travel, our memberships, our videos, our graphic design. I mean, the list goes on, promotional, tchotchkes, it adds up. So our support services is at 17% of our total budget. Then we have all of the event funding and sponsorships and memorandums of understandings. That's what MOUs are. So this is another bucket, whether it's the discretionary event funding, such as the soccer and the lacrosse folks, or a lot of the meetings. This is also the Flagler County Cultural Council. This is the memorandums of understanding that we have with the historical organizations. And that is about 10%. And then this is really probably the second year that we have been able to run so lean that we don't spend everything that we plan on receiving in revenue. We do want to be able to put money in reserves because, as we saw with COVID, anything can happen, and to have that rainy day funding, ideally, for me to be comfortable, I would ideally like to have a whole year's worth of reserves that in the event something catastrophic happened, we would still be able to maintain our operation for a year. So we are currently estimating to have a cash carry forward of 1.2 million. And this is the slide. So with each one of those categories, I thought it was important to show that there really hasn't been too much of a significant jump in either one of these categories, that they've maintained a pretty steady increase. Again, personnel, if you were to look at where the jump is, it's personnel and support services. And for me, if we are continuing to show an increase in revenue, our office takes the position is that as a hotelier, as a lodger, we have to continue to support the advertising and marketing needed in those shoulder seasons. And if we are receiving additional revenue, we should be continuing to invest in filling up those rooms and assisting those hotels as best as we can. So each year, if the projected revenue allows, we do like to increase that. You'd see it's about 50,000 each year, which that goes quick. So I just thought it was important to tell this story because there is a misconception that there's all this money, but as you can see, it quickly goes quick. So with that, I'll answer any questions on Fund 110.
Board, questions? Just on Fund 110. No more questions. So I'll bring it back for a motion to approve the budget submittal to recommendation for Fund 110.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. There's no one, unless anyone wants to say something about Fund 110. So we'll bring it back for a vote on the motion to approve submitting the budget, recommending the budget as submitted here, Fund 110. Aye. Opposed? None heard? Passes unanimously. So we go to Fund 1111.
All right, this is the beach renourishment. Again, this fund would be estimated to receive $850,000. We do have currently an estimation of $809,000 that will be cash carry forward. So some of you that weren't here, or just a refresher, and Commissioner Sullivan mentioned it, is that we revised the program or this fund at the beginning of the year because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of projects, a lot of funding requirements for the county engineers that are needed, whether it's a match or they need the cash right away. So as a board, you recommended to the county commission, which they accepted, that we would do away with the application program and allow county staff to essentially use the fund, however much money's in there, for the projects as needed, when needed, and that they would provide us at the end of the year all the reporting of how they use the money, and come before you for whether it's a presentation, if that's applicable, answer any questions, and to make sure they are using the expenses as allowed by statute.
Right, and to get back to Commissioner Cooley's points, I do think we're coming to an inflection point here, and I think that's one of the reasons for the meeting we had and so forth. The Army Corps program is going ahead. So the 2.5 miles of the Flagler Beach is going to look a lot different in the coming years. There's also a new pier going in. I don't think the hotel has much impact on this, but those two items, the fact that I like to say, I mean, in most general terms, the federal government, the state government, the city government, and the county government all have said, we want A1A to stay where it is and to be a road that we're going to use into the future. So when these projects get done, I do think we'll have to look at the beach and access a little different. And we're not going to really understand that till they do get done, with the new pier, new big beach, and all that. Same problems are going to be there, but they'll be clear cut. So I think there is, in the next few years, there's going to be a different look at this, as you've indicated, with the population increase in the county, so on and so forth. But I do think we need to see how that all kicks in and where we are at that point. We need some people with brilliant ideas also on this. So that's just a comment back on that. But I don't disagree. You know, it's coming, and it's good in some ways because we're probably going to have more people here, and there are more people using hotels and so on and so forth. But there's only so much room we have also. So in any event, that's just my comment on this one on that. So we're talking about Fund 1111, and any more comments concerning that? Pretty straightforward one right now. It's the percentage, and it's pretty complicated right now with the beaches. You know, we have 18 miles of beach, not just 2.5. Not just 2.5, but the 2.5 is heavily used. Okay, so bring it back for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Okay, so on back to the board then we have a motion and second for recommending the budget as submitted for item 9C, Fund 1111, fiscal year 23-24 budget. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. So we go on to the quarterly marketing update. And Courtney, I guess, will be doing that. Yes, there she is.
Hi, yes.
You're sitting in the wrong seat.
I'm running
No,
the
you're in the
control.
right seat.
I'm running the
Sorry. I'm
controls
being wise
today,
there.
so bear with me. It's a
Yeah.
little bit different. All right, let's. So in April, our content focus was on sustainability and ecotourism. Our content included a blog article that compiled some of the environmentally friendly initiatives throughout Flagler County, like smoke-free beaches, the Turtle Patrol, and the ban on balloon releases. There was also a blog and some social posts on ecotourism activities that visitors can do when they're here, like kayaking and bird watching. And we also had a Q&A interview with a Turtle Patrol volunteer. And I think these are nice because they're helping us attract the right kind of visitor, the visitor that cares about their destination and wants to learn about it and put some love back into it. In May, the content centered around Mother's Day and other events and dining. There are blog and social posts on the Hang 8 dog surfing event and a Mother's Day themed itinerary. We also updated our dining guide with new content and listings. That's the one on the far right there that says High Tides. In June, our focus was around summertime things to do and events. We had a blog post outlining fun activities to do with Dad on Father's Day, a blog on the best fishing spots around Flagler County, and we also ran an ad in Orlando Magazine's summer bridal issue. That's on the far right. And also in Q3, we wanted to share about earned media. Earned media is essentially news coverage or publicity that isn't paid out of our tourism budget. It's as a result of press releases and media networking. We were mentioned in an article on AARP.com on the 7 must-see stops on A1A. They mentioned Marineland, Washington Oaks Gardens, and Bing's Landing. And we also helped promote Hang 8. We sent out some press releases and secured multiple requests for in-studio interviews and day of event coverage. I think some of those went national. And finally, we participated in a First Coast of Golf FAM tour at the end of June. We brought in 6 tour operators from around the world. They visited the area and they played a round of golf at the Ocean Course at Hammock Beach, and they also dined at Atlantic Grill that evening. We received lots of good feedback, and we really anticipate seeing more business from those tour operators in the future.
I just wanted to thank you all for bringing in the golfing tour operators. I know that it seems, gosh, this is loud. It seems that golf has taken a downturn, and our county has a lot to offer golfers. So being able to attract those people to us is hard to do right now with the taking the downturn that it's taking. So international is probably the best way to go right now. So thank you for looking ahead at that.
Right. So, thank you on that. And I did make that point at our county commission meeting yesterday, the parks review that we did. No one mentioned golf. We actually have a public golf course that we have to fund through the city and all that. And I just think the golfers tend not to fill out. They don't think of themselves as outside recreation, I guess, or something. But there are a lot of people who play golf here. So I think we have to always include that when we're talking about use of our public facilities and things like that. It's kind of, did you get that briefing yet? Okay. I know you guys got it, right?
Oh, yeah, our Palm Harbor Golf Course, it's actually hard to get a tee time out there. It's so packed. But that, I think, is a testament to our staff who take such a great care of it. It's a beautiful golf course.
Right. Now, did you get that briefing by the park review, recreation review yet?
Oh, the overview, the joint effort between the city and the county? Yeah, that was very informational, for sure.
But the point is, they didn't mention golf.
I know.
Left it out.
I'll tell you what, though, my golf game has gone down
I mean,
the
I
last 6
do
months or
think
so.
golf is a big deal here in Flagler County. But anyway.
It truly is. We've got some beautiful golf courses.
Yeah, no, it is.
We
It's a
do.
big
And
deal.
we still have a lot of students out there that need
could still play.
scholarships for golf. So we've got to keep that sport going just to keep our county going too. So.
All right, so thank you, Courtney, on that. And so now we're back to Tourism Development Office update. And Amy's back in her seat.
Thank you. A few items. One is our last meeting. I was a little cranky due to legislation, but today, much more better mood and very appreciative. I believe you got the emails, but I just wanted to say it on the record that Visit Florida was funded $80 million. That is $80 million they have to match with private funds as well. That is a record amount that they have received. So all is well again in the world today. I'm sure we'll be busy again next session because I'm sure there'll be more bills likely. So we're ready for that. I wanted to give you an update on the Flagler County Cultural Council efforts, also known as FC3. So they have selected a vendor for their website. So that is currently being worked on. We also have selected a strategic planner who will help facilitate the group and give them some direction, some guidance, some areas of focus so they can stay on track and make some movement in that world. Also, we are probably 80% through the service agreement that we are drafting for them. So just for new members and as a recap, essentially the county, the tourism office, is contracting the Flagler County Cultural Council to provide services related to promoting, enhancing, developing arts, culture, and history activities, events in Flagler County. And so those services are kind of outlined. So for example, we are asking them to send e-newsletters that talk about all the different efforts. So we will then help pay for the email service provider so that they can perform those activities. So we are working through probably the final edits with them. Then it'll go to our legal department. And again, these are expenses that they have to provide proof that they did the service. So if we pay $1,000 a year so that you can have the email provider, MailChimp or whatever, you have, and we say we want you to do a minimum of one a month. and it has to contain X, Y, and Z. They will have to show us that they gave, or they sent out 12 emails, and they can check that box to receive the funding. So it's not a gift or a handout. It is in exchange for their services. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. So who did they take as a vendor for the website?
Is it ZGraph? Yes, ZGraph.
And who's our strategic planner?
Deborah. Stand by, we'll get that for you.
Oh, that's fine.
It was just last week, so that's a lifetime ago now.
Not that important.
Yeah. We got 4 or 5 quotes, and it ranged everything from $13,000 to $90,000. So obviously we went with the $13,000. All right, so Mr. Baker, I'm here to provide an update for our Eco Discovery Center. Just as a reminder, this is on State Road 100, probably in between 95 and Flagler Beach. And we have some renderings to show, but that we just received. But before I send that or show that, I just wanted to remind everyone what the inside is, so that when you see the renderings, it'll have some context. So over here is the multi-purpose space. It can be divided, a conference room, or opened up. Obviously, we can rent this out to folks for events. It'll have a warming kitchen, so we are able to provide that service. Storage. Over here is some exhibit space that can be either closed off and locked or opened up. This would be likely a great space for more of the historical and arts and culture, whether we're featuring artists or any sort of medium. This can be secured and here. All of this area is our regular exhibit space. Ticketing for experiences, attractions. And then on this side is more of the administration and offices. You'll see there's more offices than us, and that's because this is a partnership project. So we are involving the Scenic A1A, Heritage Crossroads, so they could have office space here as well. Also, we want to have an office and space for the Flagler County Cultural Council, and also a couple more to lease out. We received a cost estimate for the conceptual, and we're about $10 million. Yeah. And so what we've done is broken down even further to show the cost share of where we're at as of right now. So this is where we stand as far as our match. There's that 1.6 million cash. We are able to use, when we are applying for grants, the value of the property, which was formally appraised at 2.3 million. So in total, we have almost 4 million for our local share. When you add all the other contingencies, design and permitting, utilities, now we're close more to 12.4 million. The first grant that we are looking to apply for is a 80-20 match, so we will be eligible. We do have to fill this gap of 8.6 million. We are eligible for the grant. In reality, do we think that's what we'll get? No, but it is there for us. We are looking at other funding opportunities, including the County Commission had their their meeting on Monday, and some ideas that were presented to the county commission to ask for legislative funding and appropriations was some funding for the Eco Discovery Center. It does check a lot of boxes and priorities, not only for our office, but for the county. For the Northeast Florida Regional Council, ecotourism and trails is a priority. It will have the potential to be more in the wildlife corridor. So there is a lot of partners and interested agencies in the project. I will tell you that yesterday was the final selection. So as you know, where that location sits, there's about 1,000 acres that the county is looking to connect that pedestrian bridge to the other trails, Graham Swamp, Lehigh Trail. So they put out a RSQ for design and permitting. The counties received money through FDOT, $1.5 million for that. I was on the selection committee, and we selected a firm to begin that process of design, I'm sorry, not design and permitting, design and planning of what that park would entail. We want to open it up for public access in a very meaningful and sensitive way. So there's areas that have been untouched, especially accessing Bulow Creek through kayak launches. So that's also a new recreational amenity that would be
Yeah, I just want to make sure the connection to Lehigh Trail from the pedestrian bridge is already there. It's done.
right. It's going to
We're
connect.
talking about going south.
Yes. So that's where we are with funding. We do continue to have conversations and do our due diligence in other funding sources as well. So a lot of it we just don't know yet, and until we are ready to get the first grant package. So this is the rendering of the front of the building. Let me see. So out there on the property are some materials already that we are interested in using and preserving. There is coquina, so the columns would be that coquina. There is some bricks out there, some of the red bricks. So this area here would maybe have all the bricks with the flagpole. And these features that you see up here, these dormers, these were kind of taken as a reflection of what you see out at Princess Place in some of the lodge buildings. So very natural in the settings of the environment.
Amy?
Yes, ma'am?
Are we considering solar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Being that it's an eco-tourism place, I just wondered where we were.
Yes, yes. And other materials, we ran it by a few departments of, lessons learned from other projects of what type of materials, what type of roof would hold up the best. So over here is that multi-purpose area, and again, utilizing the bricks that are out there. And the event space can overflow outdoors, and these are the doors that would open up as well. So if someone wanted to have a wedding out there in the park, and they can come back and have a reception or any sort of event or activity. So those are the pictures that we have finally to show everyone. Over here is those office side.
So, I mean, one of those points being that we will not be paying for lease offices at the county airport. So it's not totally, yeah. So.
All right, and two more things. 1 second. For the Hang 8 video or event, we contracted our video company because we didn't have any video coverage. We had lots of photography, but no video. So we asked our video company to help get us some B-roll and some clips that we can use that's compatible with the phone or desktop. So.
Welcome to Hang 8 Dog Surfing, where dogs dig Flagler Beach.
It's so cool. You can tell that they're just having fun out there.
Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Is it my turn?
So fantastic.
Spectacular experience.
So much fun.
Awesome. I love sand.
Any tea and biscuits?
Dude, he dropped in tail first.
I love the fashion.
Order 2. Yay, I won.
Is there a hair contest?
Small dogs rule. You know it.
Gives everybody an opportunity to share one love, which is the dog.
Good time.
I want to
There you go,
know
Eric.
which dog is there.
That was a super cool video. I haven't seen that.
No, we just got that last week, so we were keeping it to surprise you today.
Which
was a
dog
lot
was
of fun.
yours, Eric?
The black and white Chihuahua that was
Oh.
shaking off right in the middle there.
How many people do you think that attracted this year?
It's hard to say. We don't have an exact count. It's estimated somewhere between 1,000, 1,500 easy.
Great.
Yeah, that was on beach, and then of course, up top was packed, and then we had the passerbys, but I did, and I had some comments saved for the end. But you were talking about the earned media and the national coverage, and it pretty much went viral, but it went international too. We got contact from Germany multiple times, Australia, and Canada. And I think there was one other country, I can't remember off the top of my head, where folks were reaching out to us in, some of the languages we didn't even understand, but it was really neat. We had multiple Germany hits and at least one Australia and multiple Canada, in addition to tons of states too. And then that's from this group right over here and over there.
Makes a team.
Great. That was a nice video, too. It's a good video. You caught it right.
Yeah, and so we'll be able to
Looked
use
great on
that
the videos.
year after year, and yep. We got a lot of B-roll as well. We'll share with the event organizers. And then the last thing is, I just wanted to thank everyone for being flexible with the date change, moving the meeting up a week. Next week, I'll be attending our industry annual conference, and I'm also finally buckling down and working on certification. It's the highest in our industry. I've had it in the budget and been wanting to do it for pre-COVID, and always just something comes up, but I'm forcing myself and buckling down to dedicate my time to do that. So I'll be attending courses for 4 days straight, and then on the tail end of that is our annual conference. That's in Dallas. It's all international and domestic tourism organizations, and I'm very excited because that's when we do the most learning, actually, is with our peers. And what's interesting is last night even I got an email from someone who will be working on their certification as well, and she's from Augusta, and her title is the exact same as Deborah's, Destination Development and Community Engagement, which I was thrilled to see that, because we're the first ones that probably blended those two. So to see Augusta had it as well, I'm looking forward to just talking to my colleagues and getting best practices and how they're solving issues locally, because usually, even no matter how much money you have or how little money you have, we all kind of have the same challenges and struggles. So I'm looking forward to that conference, and just wanted to thank you for the accommodation. And that's all I have.
All right, so we're moving right along here, and we're down to community comment, community outreach. So it is a minute time. We've only got one person here. Were you going to come forward? So I'm not going to go through that. So there'll be no community outreach inputs, but I do want all the board members to get a chance to speak. So we're on item 13. So let's start with Lisa.
Good morning. I am Lisa Robinson again from the Hampton Inn and Suites of Palm Coast. I'd just like to say hi to everybody. The summer is moving along, but the Florida fatigue that we're experiencing is really disheartening, being that we've had a couple of really good years, and even through COVID, April was very disappointing with the lack of people coming to Florida for what we call Little People's Spring Break. So I don't know what we can do next year as far as marketing that East Coast to make sure that they're invited here to our family-friendly beaches, because people didn't come. And it was noticeable, and it was on my reports that we go year over year, that what was missing was exactly a certain amount of money that came from that. So I don't know what that is. We're normally like one of the best places to go for a family with all this beautiful stuff we have on the website. So I don't know where it went, what happened with it, but I know that we also will be doing stuff personally to try to engage people and get people to come with our websites and with our, we have this thing on the, when you go to us now, we're in something called Stay Connected. So there will be commercials and stuff actually on the TVs. When you go in now, the TV says, hi, Commissioner Sullivan, and it talks to you. So we'll be adding some of the things as well, but that's for the people once they get there. So I don't know what we can do to enhance our website, but we'll do it on our Facebook page as well, because we can't afford to lose, $50,000 in 1 week. That's not cool. Especially with costs. So costs are going up, but people are not traveling to Florida for some reason, and it's just odd. So, but the May was normal, June was but July is trending higher. So I think that we're better than just having transient business on a weekend. I think that established things have been what we've had here, and people have looked forward to coming here continually. And so I don't know where that's been, but I don't like the transient on the weekend. I do have groups, but I just might have groups. The other hotels may be running transient. So we do need to look back at golf and all the original things that we had to get people to come here. Because if we have 92,000 people here, they better be telling somebody to come and visit, and stop having them people stay in their new house. They need to come stay with us. So that's all I have. And if anybody needs me for the next week, I am officially on vacation, but I love y'all, so I came to the meeting.
Thank you, Lisa.
Chair, I just had a couple comments to piggyback off what you were saying. So with this tourism, we'll call it not really a slump, but just a lull, there was a couple agencies that have been studying some of this, and Amy, this might be worth looking into for us. There's this, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but they're calling it revenge travel. So this is the first summer that a lot of the states that were slow to open up post-COVID, this is the first year that they're actually fully open. And there's this pendulum swing of a lot of people are, they wanted to go there, COVID hit, and now this is the first year that they're open. And so a lot of these travelers are going, we're going to go there now, because Florida was open during COVID. So we got this huge influx of people, but there's a macro thing going on now where there's a big influx in these other areas that this is the first summer they opened up, if that makes sense. And I don't know if there's any way to really look at that or study it.
Well, we do. We have industry education, and at the conference it'll be even more dialed in. But that just exactly what you said, this misnomer that we're Florida, people will just come anyway. Well, then we wouldn't have the issues that Lisa's seeing. The people now, we still have to always be competitive. And people, like you said, if they're now going to states that are open, we have to step it up. So we can never take our foot off the pedal.
Let me just add to that. I'm basing what I'm saying off of 2019. I don't count COVID at all, because all of that was fake. I'm basing everything off of 2019 and what we did before we knew anything about a little bug called COVID. So,
Just to piggyback on all of this, internationally, it's down, tourism is down in July. I think in large part it may be due to all the news reports of all the problems in airports. There are massive, massive interruptions in Amsterdam, London, all over Europe, and whereas revenge travel is a term that they're calling it, people are trying to go, but they're not making it. So a lot of people are just staying home and doing vacations at home. There is a downturn in July, that is for sure, but it picks back up in August. So I don't know whether July, we're getting back into the school year, and so I think people are also thinking about kids getting back into school the first part of August, so it's slowed down for that or what have you, but it is definitely slow internationally in July. It's picking back up now in August and September, so for whatever reason. Maybe it'll pick it up for all of us.
yeah, no, we're okay in July. It was just the June and the big dive in April. So that was compared to 2019. And so that, we attract people here because of the family-friendly beaches and all these things that these beautiful ladies put out here on the website that they can see. And people come here because of that. It's just, where were they? So that was really odd.
Chairman, the ladies are right. We did fine all the way up until July, and so we're promoting some specials out there right now to our group database, and we've been sending out to everybody a little bit lower rate out there, but it's we're a little bit more peaks and valleys once you get past second week of August. So we're especially on the one-bedroom units that we have. So we're looking at that, but we've been very fortunate throughout the year. We follow a lot too with in Miami area, but they saw about a 2% decline in April, and then it just keeps on going in May, June, and on. So some of the stuff that they talk about is true. I mean, you got student debt starting to come back in, I think, October or something. Europe opens, the cruise line is doing good. So it's like what Eric said, a lot more players in the game now. It's not just Florida and that Florida fatigue or whatever they want to call it, whatever they name it. But it is, and Amy's right. You got to fight for them, man. It's not just us anymore out there. No. So we're excited. For us, Felicia was talking about golf cranking, man. We'll do 450 rounds a day on both courses, but you got a member base that'll help some with that. So it is, we just kind of get caught up in that little bubble of looking at it that way. But it's, and golf prices are high. So, yeah, so it's something we look at a lot in there. And Courtney's right too. We try to do on their giving back to the environment type thing when they come. Every group that comes now is wanting to do something, whether it's build a bike for the local Boys and Girls Club or clean up the intercoastal or doing something. So we've been doing a lot more of that with them. And so in Flagler County, perfect area for that. It's beautiful here, and I've been here 30 years. It is gorgeous, and I love it. I love it here. Yeah. Thank you.
Daniel?
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for a great meeting. Just to, again, piggyback off of others, being new to the market, I've been in Daytona for 20 years, so I'm kind of still in that whole spring break, leisure, weekend market. Our property, year over year, has been doing well. We did also see a bit of a downfall in June. Corporate travel, local negotiated travel has taken a decline. July does look a lot better going into August. Cruise lines are out. There's more ships in ports, is my feeling. I'm a big cruiser, so I always look at that side. Orlando's a big feeder city for me, so is Jacksonville. So when those markets are down, I'm down too. So, I consider my property a tweener between Daytona and St. Augustine. Yeah. So I'm a one-stop when you get off of 95. So, I pray for rain, which brings travelers to my hotel, and I pray for sun. So there's a 50-50 shot that I'll produce. But looking forward to a great Q3 ending and Q4. Our property is going through a renovation this coming August through the end of the year, so that's going to be a nice change. Property is 15 years old, and she'll be brand new by the end of November, so we'll do a whole new grand reopening. We want to shoot some commercials. We have Hilton helping us on certain marketing pieces to promote our property in Palm Coast and Flagler. But it's been great since I've been here in February.
Great. Pam?
I think I said it all.
Okay. So we'll go to Nick.
For sure. Thank you very much for the tremendous meeting. I was going to commend our joint efforts across all of the cities and county for our 4th of July initiatives. I thought that was a tremendous event. The temperature was a little warm, but what are you going to do about that, right? But better than rain, and I'm very thankful that we had such a synergistic relationship between all of our municipalities and county, and I'm very thankful for all the hard work and effort that went into that project. Thank you.
Go back to Eric.
Well, it's redundant, but I can't thank the tourism department enough for the help with Hang 8 as being one of the organizers. The organizers for the Hang 8 dog surf competition have no idea what they're doing. I just want to put that on record. So it was just, guerrilla style, just social media marketing for year one. And, Amy and her team helped to kind of get the marketing more, not guerrilla style. And we had the month before the Hang 8 competition was like a media tour. It was one news agency from another every single day. And a lot of that was from the releases that were put out. And it's just nice being able to start an event that really illustrates what some of the culture is of the county, and the county here, we have dog-friendly beaches, which is a rarity nationwide and in Florida too. And actually it's been so successful. I don't know if you all have been watching the news, but just last week, Volusia County in Ormond is going to pilot a program to allow dog-friendly beaches in some of their area to capture that, because they see it, and especially the buzz they had right up the street. So what previously was not dog-friendly, they have certain areas they're going to experiment. And I can't say that Flagler County had something to do with it, but I have a feeling it did. And so thank you all again for everything you did for Hang 8. And we don't know, we don't have all the data collection points built up. We don't know how many people from out of town it brought in, but we know it was a pretty good amount because we were flooded with requests for rooms. Everybody wanted to know where to stay, who's dog friendly. And and we pulled people in from both Carolinas, Georgia, Bama. We pulled in from a lot of and then all over Florida. We had folks coming in from Miami, from the west coast of Florida. And so there was a lot of tourism there, but we don't know how much because we just didn't have time to do any formal surveys to research any of that. We were running around like as crazy as the dogs were. I just wanted to bring up something, potential neat angle that we could take as a county is I believe that the infamous A-frame bridge going over 100 is actually going to end up becoming a potential destination for, tourism when folks are here. There's a lot of negative buzz, but it's also turning into positive buzz, and everybody wants to see this. I've had folks just coming in and out of my business at the beach going, where's this bridge everybody's talking about? They don't know, and they want to go see it. And I think it's a neat opportunity for tourism to almost latch on to as a destination within itself. And it's going to be by the new complex and everything. But for now, some positive marketing around it would be neat. And, anything to incorporate into that area that relates to tourism. I think there's a neat angle there. It's just another destination for the county to make. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people that really like it, and they get what it's going to look like when it's painted and done. And I just I wanted to bring that up as a potential kind of neat angle that tourism could take to capture the energy that bridge has generated.
Even the black bears like it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that picture?
And Superman and Evil King.
It's great.
You know, I thought those pictures were real at first, when I saw like the big
The bear wasn't
buck
real?
on there, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
told
it's
my
not,
wife, I showed
not
my wife, and my
yet
wife,
officially
"That's not
opened.
real."
It will
And I'm
be
like, "I thought it
shortly.
was real."
And we'll have a different, like a grand opening, but it'll be open in a few weeks. I think we've got some fences up right now, trying to, we're a little worried
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
It hasn't passed inspection, safety
Yeah,
inspection yet.
so we have to be a little careful that way. But that'll all happen. And no, I love that bridge. And, well, thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I just thought it'd be a neat angle to, just something to get ahead of and potentially incorporate that in the tourism in itself. It's just one more thing for folks to check out while they're here.
By the way, people thought about building that bridge 12 years ago. It isn't something that even I mean, that was, and what they're saying is, the county's expanding whether you like it or not. Try to build something like that after the expansion, it won't happen. So by having it there and close to the new Visitor Echo Center, which is just going to be just to the west of it, will be good. Then there'll be some parking and things like that. And I think it'll help your problem in Flagler Beach. At least it'll be a stopping point for people to get a feel for the area before they just go right to the beach. There'll be maybe a little bit of alleviation because of that, as an alternate kind of stuff.
Oh, and the only other comment I had is because of all the exposure from tourism with the Hang 8 dog surfing, I'll call it the mascot of Hang 8, which is Wednesday, one of the lead surf dogs, the Chihuahua, which is my dog. She got an invite to the World Dog Surfing Championships. However, we're not sure if we can make it this year because the organizers of Hang 8 spent all their money on putting on the event. So there's not much money left in travel to get her out to California. As much as we would like to, it would be the first Florida dog competing at the World Dog Surfing Championship.
Wow.
If we can pull it off, it's really doubtful this year, though. Maybe next year, just due to finances, because to put that event on, we just pay out of pocket to do it.
You honked your
from
house,
there.
didn't you?
It's expensive to do, and because it's a complete 100% fundraiser, we put the event on with the expenses out of our pocket because we consider that our donation.
Well, I guess you could come in for a request if you wanted to go fill the paperwork.
Well, yeah, I don't know how well that would go over with the position I'm in, asking for that, but
It's fair to all.
maybe some in the future.
You just abstain.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. But that's all I got. Thank
Okay,
you.
Felicia?
Well, first, I want to follow up with Lisa and Pam and the Florida fatigue, the revenge travel, all of that is a reality. When you have Disney offering domestic Florida resident tickets at such a deep discount, there's a problem. Because they could care less if Florida people came in the summer, ever. They are hurting. They need Florida to support them, which we all need. We all need Florida to support us because they're not coming from elsewhere. So I just think it's an eye-opener to see the big three discounting and marketing to us, which they've never done, not in the summer. So it is. I do think it's revenge traveling. I do think it's people are tired of Florida. I do think it's a lot of things. But I also think even those that are traveling, what I'm hearing from my friends that are in hospitality, the families are staying with the amenities that are right there for them. They're not going outside of it. They're going to the grocery store, they're eating in the rooms, they're eating at the pool, and they're staying with the amenities that they have because the luxury money is just not there. They're scared to death about the inflation, the recession, all those buzzwords that are out there. And so they're doing less spending on actual activities, actual eating out and stuff like that. I think it'll all come back, but we are definitely seeing different numbers than we would have in 2019. Following up on Eric, maybe at the Echo Center, there will be a Flagler Beach shuttle bus that will help with the parking situation. That would help. That's a great idea. And then also, Pam, you mentioned the airports. Bless their hearts. That's all I can say. Bless their hearts. They're having a record number of people coming into Orlando, but the airlines themselves have got issues of their own. But also, we have record numbers of people leaving the ports, all the new cruises and everything that's going on. So I think they're going from the airport straight to the ports, and then they're leaving. And then they come back, and they go straight to the airport. But if you look, we have really had some major increase in what would have been cruise travel from Florida. And it's only getting better. I don't want to say worse, but it's only going to get better because of what they're adding.
Well, it also involves the fact that the cruise ships are so doggone big.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah, they can take a whole country
9,000
with them.
passengers?
I know, whole country.
It's like, hello.
Yeah, the
So-
new Icon of the Seas that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and then I have to put my glasses on so I can read my notes. If you notice our TV ads, how many of you seen North Dakota, Oregon, Iowa, Idaho? They're tired of Florida getting all the people, and they're really competing out there to get those people to come to them. And so we're really seeing it. I can't thank our legislative enough for funding Visit Florida, because that 80 million is only going to help us.
Speaking to that, I'm going to Utah to Arches National Park next week. And now to get in some of the major national parks, you need to take a ticket out prior to going into the parks. It's like, was $20, I believe, but you have to get a car park permit to go into the national parks because they are so overwhelmed right now.
Yeah, they're full. So all those people that didn't have anybody because we had them all, it is revenge travel, and they're loving it. We're hating it. The other thing I would have is 85th anniversary for us. Thank you all for responding, and yes, thank you for this picture, and I've got plenty of them too. But we
No,
had a good
I
time.
wanted to make sure you were going to mention that, right?
Yeah, we had a good time. It was great to have some old timers out there with us more than anything. I'm a history buff, and I just love the history of Marine Land, or I wouldn't have stayed. So, but thank you for all of you who came. I know it ended up being a rainy day, and some of you had to back out, and I appreciate all the text messages I got. But it was good. It was good, and we'll be celebrating the 85th all year long. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's 85 years. It's almost an historical location at this point, and we ought to think about that at some point. I mean, it's a fantastic history.
You could think about that now while we're down on numbers and we really need people. So could you please somehow just
Well, I'm just
create all these
saying,
people to
it's-
come and swim with us?
It's a great asset here in the county, and we should
Thank you.
take advantage of it and realize that. But go ahead, Felicia. You're-
No, that's all. Thank you.
And then just for me, the one other thing I wanted to mention was on July 3rd, we had another turtle number 19, Gustav, over at Hammock Dunes, at the entrance to Hammock Dunes. And the reason I bring that up is in the future now for FC3 will be coordinating the turtle dedications and getting some funding because of that. So this was kind of just about the last one before we start taking over. I think that's right, Deborah. So Gustav was number 19. That program's still going strong, and that will be helping support FC3 in the future. So I appreciate you all being here.
Sir,
I just want to, go ahead, Deborah.
interrupt you, but I just wanted to answer. Felicia had asked a question.
Oh, yes, right.
Earlier in the meeting, and I have the answer for you before we leave. And the strategic planning organization that FC3 will be using is Executive Service Corps out of Fort Lauderdale. Yep, well, we will definitely be including you in that process, so we'll be reaching out to you when it's appropriate.
Yeah, and I was at the Florida Association of Counties meeting last week. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. And the, what they call the mayor, actually, chairman of the board for Orange County, was there and presented. 77 million tourists came to Orange County last year for those. So to keep that up, I mean, that does spin off into us too. There's no doubt about it. But that's the number that we're talking about. I mean, any kind of drop off from that is really significant because it's millions. Like, oh, well, only lost 2%. Well, that's 1.5 million people, you know, and that kind of thing. So, but the size of tourism in Florida is unbelievable. So just that Central Florida alone is 77 million people.
I'm on the
tourists.
board for the Florida Attractions Association, and just the information that we get at our annual event, it's really amazing. It's amazing what Florida does. It's amazing what Florida can do. We have a beautiful place right here, but we're inside a beautiful place. So we got to ride the piggyback of Visit Florida.
I don't know how it's going to work, but it still dwarfs every place else. Maybe
Does.
not California, but it's bigger than California, I think, with tourists, total tourists, over 100 million, you know, coming into the state. So we'll see. All right. Well, with that, unless there's something else, Amy or the board, look for a motion to adjourn. We have a move, so we're adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Miss Lisa, what are you gonna do on your vacation?
I have to go to Chicago. I said I have to go to Chicago.